Juraj Slafkovsky made Montreal Canadiens history as he now officially has the most points in any season before a player's 20th birthday in Habs history, and he can actually even expand upon that record to be the single best player in any teenage season in the team's history. We have to go into exactly what he's done, plus an article talking about how the Montreal Canadiens could potentially go after near 40 goal scorer Jonathan Marchessault from the Vegas Golden Knights. There is a lot to discuss coming up on this episode of Habs Digest, so stick around for all of that. But in the meantime, if you're part of the 53% of viewers who are not subscribed to the channel and you like our daily Montreal Canadiens content and our weekly live streams where we talk to you to discuss the Montreal Canadiens, hit that subscribe button. This is your spot to be. Jesse, let's first get into Martin St. Louis, though. And as we all know, Coach Marty was away from the team for a while. And if you didn't know, his son had some complications from a hockey injury, but thankfully he's doing much better now, stable at home. And so Coach Marty, that allowed him to come back with the team. He said family is his priority and then hockey in that order. Great to see him back. And he actually surprised the team. When the team arrived, Marty was waiting for the players. A hug, big hug between him and Guhle, handshakes for other players. And they saw the big, strong bond that binds him to the management and to the players. And that's when we felt his strong presence at the head of this team. And not only that, just even Marty himself was saying, quote, "I watched all the games. I was watching them as a very proud coach. I'm very proud of being part of this Montreal Canadiens organization." There's pretty much no words that we haven't said already to say how much we appreciate Martin St. Louis, but the bond he clearly has with the players and just with this organization in general is something like I don't think I've seen that across the rest of the league. If it happens, it's very rare, but what Montreal has going right now with their culture is, it basically can't be beat.
That's a solid point, Josh. And it's one of the main reasons why he's getting such key performances out of some of these players is really that close relationship, namely with Juraj Slafkovsky, who's really taken under his wing to mentor one by one, really as the head coach, right? A very special relationship, which, like you said, you don't see all the time around the NHL. And it's not all the time where your head coach is your complete leader of your team, right? So, I mean, so amazing to have Marty back. He was so stoked with the win. It was so awesome seeing behind the net. Like, you don't always see that emotion from him, as a coach, where he's kind of fist pumping at the end, the big handshakes with the assistant coaches. It was just incredible to see. But, what was so great as well, Josh, was the respect that he shows towards his players of just greeting each of them individually. You can tell that special sort of relationship and how the players in turn respect him so much back, that close sort of relationship. Of course, it helps that, he's a Stanley Cup winner. He's won a gold medal at the Olympics. He's a Hockey Hall of Famer. But I mean, how he treats the player and just his overall rapport is so important. So to have him back really with this team, just so happy that both he and his family are doing well right now.
Yeah, for sure. And, the fight the players show for Marty, they go out there and they fight for him. You saw him back, that spirit that he brought to the team that the players had. They want to win for him. They want to win for the management, the rest of the coaching staff, and for each other. Just a fantastic culture. I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot, but it just never gets old, does it, to hear about just how much of an impact Marty has on these young guys. But let's transition a bit into something else and potentially a future player for the Montreal Canadiens as, a 40 goal scorer, technically not yet, but he's at 39 with about 10 games to go. He could very well get there, and that is Jonathan Marchessault. Now, there was an article in Journal de Québec mentioning how Jonathan Marchessault is one of the most coveted free agents this offseason, and he currently has 39 goals. He'll likely get 40, and his contract of 6 years, $30 million will be up on July 1st. Now, Tony Marinaro was actually discussing on a show talking about Marchessault, and he actually thinks that it wouldn't be a good idea. Said he doesn't think it would work with a long-term contract because, of course, Marchessault, Québécois from Cap Rouge, he said it's short-term, though, a contract of 2 to 3 years would be good. A Quebecer that comes home, with like Matheson did, like David Savard did, nice Québécois trio there. They said, but he's small, but he's really done some great things in his career. And as we take a look at his stats, Jesse, 39 goals in 72 games this year. This is his goal-scoring peak. His point peak was much earlier, but he is 33 years old, and he'll be turning 34 halfway through next season. I'm kind of on board with Tony Marinaro here, and in the sense that Jonathan Marchessault, while there's been a weirdly high amount of speculation that he could come to the Montreal Canadiens and would fill an offensive need for the team, I just don't think a long-term deal for him makes sense. However, if Kent Hughes and management want to get a veteran guy and they want to be competitive, at least in the short term, 2 to 3 years, I don't see a whole lot of risk offering him maybe a shorter term deal. Now, the problem is, will other teams maybe try and swoop in and give him that more money that Montreal might not be able to give?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. But if you can get this guy on a shorter term type of deal, you do that absolutely. Because Kent Hughes, he's taken the blueprint where he wants to take guys from teams that have won. He wants the winners. He wants really that complete game. And this is a guy like not only in the regular season showing out, but this guy winning the Conn Smythe last year.
Yeah.
This guy is a playoff performer, and he's been so incredibly consistent through his career, right? Not just with goal scoring, but also what impressed me is like this guy doesn't miss much time for injuries, anything. Like this guy is just a gamer all the way through, just incredibly consistent. Very rare where you see kind of this track only earlier in his career where he's maybe missing a couple games. Other than that, for the large part, he's playing the lion's share of that 82 games, which is so important. But again, for me, this is the type of player why I'm so happy to hear about this type of talk is to really add to this team in the short term. You really want somebody who's that established goal scorer. Now, who's better than Jonathan Marchessault to really kind of sum that up, right? So it's only if you can kind of get that on that shorter term where it really makes sense. But with this guy, he would just provide so much value to this team. So we're definitely going to be having to keep a close eye on this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, if you just get that short-term deal, you get him expiring around the same time as Gallagher Anderson, then you really can dive in to your playoff stuff. And even these guys can be traded in the last year of their deal in a few years. As much as I would hate to see Gallagher in any other jersey, it is what it is. But when it comes down to it, money management is money management, and this team needs to compete within the next, 4 or 5 years. Some people think maybe even sooner than that. And Jonathan Marchessault, like, you look at a team like Montreal, who has some of the worst scoring depth in the NHL. You see a team like Dallas, I believe they had 6 or 7 20 goal scorers this season. That's like 7 20 goal scorers. The Habs have 2, right? So it's like adding that goal scoring depth is invaluable to making your team much more consistent, which is something Montreal has actually improved upon this year, but something they can definitely take the leap in next year if they manage to add some better offensive talents. What do you guys think about Marchessault? I'm sure a lot of Quebecois viewers would love to see him here. You know what? I would too, but it has to be for the right price. Now, let's dive into the final thing, Jesse, and we got to talk about Slafkovsky. Now, if you guys haven't watched Hockey Junkie's video earlier today, I recommend you go do it because he's talking about the same thing. Now, we couldn't get a video out earlier, but we all wanted to talk about this. It's the talk of the town. It's Juraj Slafkovsky. Not only did he extend his point streak to 8 games against the Colorado Avalanche last night, well, he made some other history as well, as this is a list of all the Habs players. I've shown you guys this before. All teenage seasons in Habs history. Now, if you're not aware, teenage season, basically the age of your season is how old you are on January 31st to avoid arbitrary cutoffs at your birthday. So, for example, everyone on this list, they were 18 or 19 on January 31st of that season. And as you can see, Juraj Slafkovsky with 40 points has officially tied Henri Richard for the most points ever in a teenage season in Habs history. But not only that, Henri Richard had a good number of those points after his 20th birthday, even though it was his age 19 season. Slav still isn't 20, Jesse. This is record-breaking in more than one way, and he has a number of games left to even break that record even further and become the best scoring teenager in the history of the most storied franchise in hockey.
He can do it. He's got enough runway there. But whenever you're up with the Richards, with this Montreal Canadiens club, you're doing something good. Slavzilla, he's now reached iconic status. He's huge in Japan, and he just really keeps up this crazy pace. But what's the most impressive, what so many Habs fans, media are saying today is like, he doesn't just care about the points. He basically brushed it aside when he's being asked about in the media. He just says, I just care about winning. Mm-hmm. I just want to be in the playoffs. And you got to feel like maybe he was addressing that to Kent Hughes, just kind of, or he's at least Kent Hughes is listening for sure. But no, he's just doing amazing things, right? Just career highs every night for him as he just continues to build, but obviously helping Suzuki as well, which I think is underrated. Like, I think Slav has really helped unlock Suzuki this year. Obviously, Suzuki's helped him, but, a career high last night for Suzuki in points with 67. Slav getting to this 8-point, streak, the way that they're able to really work together. And again, Slav, not just with the points, but being a catalyst for so many of the plays, really his ability to really be able to anticipate the play and really set it into motion. We're going to see that a lot more. Like, he's really pulling the strings on this a lot more than we really realize for such a young guy, the youngest guy on the team to be able to do this right now. It's just absolutely wild.
He's one of the youngest players, not only on the team, but in the entire NHL. And that keeps getting said too. One of the youngest guys in the entire league is that dominant. I mean, he has lots of people talking about him. Not that I want to show this first Gravite. I'm sure you guys watch Gravite's videos, some awesome content. He got to watch Slafkovsky live, and it's a different experience. He said it's so much fun to just watch him dominate possessions against that Avs squad. Absolutely special. Yeah, you're looking at an Avs team that's not that far removed from winning a Stanley Cup just 2 seasons ago, and still one of the forces in the league with arguably the best player this year, the guy who very well might win the Hart and Nathan MacKinnon. But as we look at Slav, like, he's doing this against some solid teams. You got Edmonton, you got Boston, you got Toronto, you got Colorado on this list. Even Calgary's not that bad. They're all a part of this 8-game point streak for Slav. 3 games on this 8-game point streak, over 21 minutes a night. He is averaging almost 20 minutes a night. As a 19-year-old, he turns 20 at the end of this week, I know, but 9 points in his last 8 games, a +2. And, like, I don't even know what else to say about Slav except, well, you know, he's a bit of a Chad himself, Jesse. He has been unbelievable. I can't wait to see this record get broken even further, cement himself as the best teenager in the history of this franchise. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this Slav development? Like, I don't even know what to say anymore. 8-game point streak. Who knows if that'll go to the end of the season? He's making history in more ways than one, and hey, we'll be here along every step of the way. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, guys. Help us hit 12,000. We're pushing towards 12. It's going a bit slow, so if you enjoy these videos, hit that button now. We'd really appreciate it. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.